Okay, so in this week's guitar lesson, we're going to go back and revisit a style of lesson that I used to do a lot of when I started Active Melody, and it's been a while since I've done one of these. They're always super popular. It's this standalone electric blues lead that you can play by yourself, without a jam track, without any accompaniment or anything underneath you to support you. It's just you and your guitar. And I think these are great for so many reasons. For one, I think they sound better in a way. It's more raw, it's more pure, it's music at its purest, distilled down to just the notes that are making the song. But it's also a great way to develop your ear because of the note choice that you have to make. You have to choose notes that spell out the chords. There are no chords, so you're having to choose which notes to kind of, represent those chords. And so anyway, we're going to break this lesson down over the course of 2 videos. In this video, we're going to go through the first half of the lead. I'll explain where all the notes come from. We'll put the tab up on the screen and really do a deep dive on that. If you'd like to join us for the second half for that part 2 video, as well as download the tab PDF file, which has the entire tab composition, and the on-screen tab viewer, which has tab and video on the screen at the same time. You can slow it down, you can loop it. It's a great way to learn. You can get those extra materials by going to activemelody.com, go to the weekly lessons page, and do a search for EP561. Okay, so we're coming off the back of a Caged mini-series that I just finished up, so we're going to be touching on that as we go into this. I'll put those lessons up on the screen. You don't have to go through all of them, but I just want to reference what I'm talking about here. So you'll see me reference some of those shapes as we get into this. Now this song is played in the key of C, and our 3 chords, it's a 1-4-5 chord progression, is a C chord for the 1 chord, F for the 4 chord, and G for the 5 chord. Let's listen to this first phrase and then we'll break it down. Okay, so as I mentioned, we're playing in the key of C, so our 1 chord is a C, and I'm playing it here, and this is a C chord using the E shape. That's where we bar up here on the 8th fret, and these 3 fingers make our E shape. Now, I'm not playing the bar chord, I'm just letting you know that's the position we're in. The top part of that bar chord, this little triad here, that is sort of being played, because listen, in that first phrase, you can now see where that phrase is coming from. Oh yeah, it's just the top part of that chord. But instead of me playing it like that, I go. We're starting on this 8th fret 3rd string, and then we walk up to the 9th fret. That's the 3rd interval of the chord right there, of the C chord. And then we come up to the 5th, then the 6th of the chord, and then to the root, or the 1. So anytime I'm mentioning numbers like that, those are just numbers of the major scale. Okay. Then I played that 10th fret 2nd string, that 6th interval. And then played this. Now that's a B.B. King move. Instead of me just playing the C major chord, which is so boring sounding, a lot of times B.B. T-Bone Walker will do this as well. He plays 6th chord. And so all that is, it's the same as your major chord, but if I took my pinky, for example, if I was playing this E shape, took my pinky off and put it on this 2nd string on the 10th fret, well, if I played all 6 strings, I'm actually playing a 13 chord. But if I just play the top 3 strings, I'm playing a C6 chord. So just connect that in your mind. Okay, major chord using the E shape, yeah, then I've got that 6th chord right there. So if you like the sound of that 6th chord, you know how to find it now. The 6th chord is super versatile. You can slide into it. You can also slide it down to get a 9 chord. That's another whole lesson we'll talk about. Then we go to the 4 chord, and I played it like this. Barred the first 3 strings on the 8th fret, and then I played the 7th fret 4th string. Now that's the top part of my F9 chord. Let me just put all of this into perspective here. So this is it using the C shape, right? There's my F chord using the C shape. Here's my F7 using the C shape, right? Now if I take this F7 chord like this, and I collapse my pinky so that I bar on the 8th fret, strings 1, 2, and 3, I'm playing an F9. So just connect that in your mind. Okay, F7, I can do this to get the F9. Now once I've got that F9, I don't have to make it like this, I can do it like this. It's an easier way. I'm just playing the top 4 strings out of that. And so just connect that stuff in your mind. So you've got your 1 chord, you've got your 4 chord like that. But just know where those notes are coming from, or the chords are coming from. Then I go right back to the C minor pentatonic scale, pattern 1, and throw in that lick, which I followed up with. Let's look at that lick. So that's the same triad. There's my C triad, top part of the E shape, but I just hammered on that 3rd interval, right? And then 11th fret 2nd string. Now why does that note work? That's my flat 7, right? Oh yeah, C7 chord. There's my C major chord. There's a C7. I'm just really playing the arpeggio of that C7. Tracing the notes of the chord. That's what you have to do when you're playing a standalone composition like this, to really define where we are in space. Now just remember this rule when it comes to the blues. You can take any of your chords, like in a 1-4-5 for example, and you can make them all dominant 7 chords. So I could go C7, F7, right? The 5 chord could be a G7, F7, back to a C7. So you can make any of them a flat 7. So I could take this technique, this little arpeggiated dominant 7 or flat 7, and apply it to any of those 3 chords. Okay, so after that flat 7, I played this lick. I love this lick. I use this a lot. I wanted to put it up and just focus on that lick so you can learn it. You know, I'm not going to go and call out each note because we'll spend forever on this, but look at the lick. Look how it relates to your major chord there, your C chord in the E shape. So that's like major pentatonic scale, right? Starting with it. And then going into minor pentatonic scale. We're really blending the two. But then this part, I will explain, because this is a sus4 chord. And your sus4 chord has that suspended, like unresolved sound. It's neither major nor minor. So here's my chord, my C major chord. You take the 3rd interval and you go up 1. That's why it's a sus4. 1 up 1 from the 3. And then you go back to the chord itself. And I use that all the time. So if you're ever kind of lost or looking for a little embellishment and you're in this E shape, there's a lot you can do with that idea. So now the song goes back to the 4 chord, and to get there I went. So this is just the major pentatonic scale for the key of the song. So sometimes your little filler licks are just songs in the key. They're not necessarily always going to be around the exact chord that you're trying to play at. So if you're ever lost and you're looking for a filler, just go back to the key of the song, which is the key of C, and you can play major or minor pentatonic scale. In this case, it'll work. Now, if the song's a minor key song, you can only play minor pentatonic scale. So there's that. And then I slid into this. Now, here's what I'm thinking about. My F7 chord, using that C7 shape. So when I play that strings 4 and 2, that's where they're coming from in my mind. I'm picturing that. And then I just played the chord. Notice that last note though? That would be like in that F9 that I explained, where you use your pinky to collapse. And I just hit that 1st string on the 8th fret. And then the song stays on the 4 chord, so we're still playing over the F, and I came up here and went. So let me explain that. So we're playing off of our F. Let's look at our chord shape where we're at. Here's my F chord using the A shape, right? And then the next neighbor to that would be the G shape. And here's the bottom part of that G shape. So that's what I was thinking about. And I explained this very embellishment that we're playing here in the Cage System G lesson. So I'll put that one up on the screen if you want to check that out. That's what we're doing though. I'm keeping my bar there on the 10th fret, the first 4 strings, sliding up to the 12th fret 5th string to start that. And then we're playing strings 4 and 3 on that 10th fret. And then I go up to the 7 chord, the flat 7 of my F, my F7. Now after that, I got to get back to the 1 chord, and I did it like this. So I went little chromatic walk up, 12, 13, 14 on the 4th string, and then I came to the 13th fret 2nd string. Now what is that? Well, it's my C chord using the C shape up here in this octave. Just those 2 strings out of it. So you can see I repurpose this stuff all the time. It's not like I'm reinventing the wheel every time. I've got a handful of licks that I reuse over and over again across different styles of music. So I can take that, slide it down 2 frets and get the flat 7 sound, and then I can come down on those same 2 strings. This is strings 2 and 4. And then now I'm going to be on the 10th fret, then down to the 8th fret. And then slide back to the 10th fret. So that's coming out of the C shape, and then when I come down here, I'm down into the E shape. So just connect those licks back to your chord shape. So when I started up here, that's coming out of my C shape. I can walk it down 2 frets and then down to my E shape. So we're staying in the 1 chord over our C chord. This next lick comes right out of my E shape. You can see I'm just playing the chord. So I started on that 8th fret 2nd string, down to the 10th fret 3rd string, and then little hammer on to the 3rd interval of the chord. And then we come down to this note, which is the 10th fret 4th string. But my fingers are making the chord. They just fall into place. And then I can hit the 1 string, and then back to my flat 7. So a lot of this is really just making the chord and then arpeggiating the chord, but you throw in a little lick here and there, a little extra note. But that's really all that's going on with all of this. So now we go to the 5 chord, which is our G, and I play this. Let's look at what's going on there. So here's what I'm picturing. G chord using the A shape, top part of the A shape. Oh, now it's starting to make sense. Strings 1 and 2 out of the top part of the A shape. See where that lick is coming from? It's just out of the chord shape. So I'm starting down here on the 8th fret 2nd string. We go 8, 10, slide up to the 12th fret. And then I slide that down 2 frets so that my ring finger comes down to the 10th fret 2nd string, then down to the 8th fret, and then 10th fret 3rd string. So, okay, so where are these notes coming from? These notes here? Well, this is what I'm thinking of. So remember up here, when we were doing this, we were playing the top part of our A shape. Well, I just happen to know that right next door to the top part of that A shape, if I'm playing the top 3 strings, reposition my fingers like this, I'm playing a G7 triad. Hopefully a light bulb goes off for some of you and go, oh, I never connected that. Yeah, top part of the A shape, you've got a G7. So when I play this, that's coming out of that triad. It's a weird sound, just those 2 notes, but that's what I was picturing was that chord shape. I can slide that down to a few more frets, and play another G7 triad down here. That's like the D7 shape, right? There's my G chord using the D shape. There's the G7 chord. So that's where those notes are coming from. And then I played this. Let's look at this. Now remember, the song goes from the 5 chord, which is our G, back to the 4 chord, which is our F. So we're going G, F, and now we're going to go back to the 1 chord. So when we're over the F, which is where we're at, what I'm playing there is this. This is what I'm thinking about. This little F7 triad. All of this was covered in that Cage series, by the way. So here's my F chord using the A shape. There's the triad, right, which is in the G shape as well. But then I've got this F7 up here. Oh, some of you are remembering that, right? Oh yeah, that was in there. So now you're looking at this hopefully a little differently if you've gone through that Cage little mini series, because you're seeing 1 chord. Oh yeah, there's a 4 chord right there, which is a dominant 7. That's pretty cool. You can take that up 2 frets for the 5, back to the 4, back to the 1. So anyway, that's where those notes are coming from. And then watch this. That's just walking right down the minor pentatonic scale for C, the C minor pentatonic scale, pattern 1. And I included that little blue note there. We're sliding from the 11th fret, 3rd string, down to the 10th fret. And then watch this. So we went down to here, to this C note, and then an octave lower, which is my low C note in the chord. And then I ended this part 1 with a classic Robert Johnson style turnaround. That's where we just walk down like this with a bass note on the 4th string, but then I pluck with my ring finger on the 1st string, and I keep that note anchored there, that 8th fret 1st string, that C note. So connect that in your mind. Okay, the song's in the key of C. That's a classic turnaround. I know that sound. Here's my C note. So if I want to use this in any other key now, let's say we're playing a song in the key of A, and I just find my A note on the 1st string and walk it down. Same way. Right? So you don't have to reinvent this stuff every time. Once you get one lick, you can repurpose it. And then I played my G7 chord for the 5 chord, and that's just a G chord using the E shape here. All right, I realize it's a lot of information. Hopefully it's not overwhelming. Come join us in part 2, where we'll go over the second half of this lead. And remember, you can download all of the tablature and access the on-screen tab viewer. If you've liked this video, leave a comment and let me know. If any of it's confusing, also leave a comment and let me know. I appreciate feedback. It really helps me know what's resonating and what isn't. And give me a thumbs up. All right, we'll see you in the part 2 video.